Sometimes our words don't make any sense to them. I'm sure you've probably experienced that sometimes. The one thing I try and do is have the cones sometimes dictate what I want them to do. And in this situation, the cones are doing much of the coaching. I'm just facilitating the exercise. Gracie, this is a dribbling exercise that teaches you inside of the foot and outside of the foot. When it comes to dribbling, we really want to focus on three things: outside of the foot, inside of the foot, and the bottom of the foot. We don't really need to go past that. When they start to incorporate that on their own, that's fine. We just want to build a good foundation. Outside of the foot, inside of the foot, bottom of the foot. Over here, Gracie, we're looking at some cones on this, okay? And what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you walk through this. Now, before I go on with her, one thing I always do as a coach is I always model. So if you are able to, as a coach, model for the kids what you want done, a lot of kids learn different ways. When you model something to them, they pick it up a lot quicker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to model for Gracie what I want. We're going to work with the inside of the foot. What's your name, young man? Jared, can you move out of the way just a little bit? We're going to come here. We got a runway here. We're coming in. So the cones are here. I'm not concerned with whether she's using her right foot or her left foot. The only thing that I'm focusing on is the inside of the foot. And that has a larger implication when it comes to practice. Pick one or two things. Don't try and fix every problem that you see in practice for every session. I like to come to practice one or two things that I'm going to work on. The older kids, we're going to just focus on 1v2s and defending 1v1. Everything else, I'm going to let go. That's not my focus for today. So when I come to a rec practice or a junior level practice, I'm going to pick one thing. This is a dribbling day. My goal is she's got to try and walk out of here understanding what the inside part of her foot is and the outside part of her foot. Everything else, forget about it. Let's make sure that we're focused on one thing. So, Gracie, what I'm going to have you do is every time you see a cone, I want you to use the inside of your foot. You're going to see this, you can use the inside of your foot, inside of the foot. Turn, if they want to use their one foot only, I don't care. Eventually, I'll fix that. Right now, my worry is inside of the foot. And then you can come to these double cones and you're done. Can you do that, Gracie? What part of your foot are you using? Can you point to the inside of your foot? Can you touch the inside of your foot? What about the inside of your left foot? All right, great. On my go, Gracie. Go. Get all the way to the cone. Get all the way to the cone. Good. Next one. Thank you. Let's give her a hand. One thing that is important when it comes to coaching is to make sure that you walk them through exercises. We walk 18-year-olds through exercises. We walk little kids through exercises. There's no problem with that. Sometimes I take the ball away and I say do it without the ball if it's a passing sequence to get that variable out of the equation. Now what I want to see, Gracie, is for you to do it a little bit faster. All right? Are you ready? Can you do a little bit faster? What part of the foot are you using? Ready? Go! Thank you, Gracie. So how can we change this exercise to help kids that are a little bit smaller?
Widen the runway part.
Perfect. Widen the runway. As you see for Gracie, she couldn't go much faster because of the constricted nature of this channel. You can widen it up, let them really focus, get out there. They can turn like a bus if they want to, focus a little bit more. We widen it out. With the older kids, keep it narrow. And that's how you really change this to adapt for the different levels that you have. Another thing you can add to it is to go around the cone. I don't like to do that because this forces them to keep their touches tight. and it also forces them to take more touches. Sometimes coaches will always say, dribble around the cone. Gracie, come here for a second. You guys come back up for a second. Donald. What you'll see is Gracie's going to try and go as fast as she can. She gets to this cone, and what ends up happening? The ball is gone. She's never really under control. So we want to try and find them to a certain area and make them working in that space. How focused was Gracie during that exercise? Very focused. Her eye was on the ball. She was making sure to use the inside of her foot, and she didn't want to go to what I refer to as the lava. Don't fall into the lava. You lose your ball and your feet. Got it? All right, so Gracie, now we're going to make it a little bit more challenging. What part of your foot do you think you're going to use? The outside of your foot. Now, come back. She's gone through this 5 times, and you set up a bunch of these. You've got 5 different lines going, kids going back and forth. Now we're going to see you do the outside of the foot. Ready, and go. Keep going, Gracie. I'm going to talk. One thing that I really like that's going on right now is it's forcing Gracie to take a lot of small little touches. It's harder to do what she's doing than do this and hit the ball, get a lot of space, go get it, hit the ball, go get a lot of space. What she is doing is difficult because it's tight space, so she's focusing on soft little touches. We're building on the toe touches and the outside of the foot there, and now we're ratcheting it up a notch. With older kids, again, you can make it as tight as you want, as wide as you want. You can force them to go a little bit faster. With the little ones, you probably want them walking through everything that they do about 2 times minimum before you make them go live. Any questions regarding a dribbling activity like this? All right, so now we're gonna change the direction that she goes through this. Gracie, can you come stand where I'm standing? We're gonna face that direction. This is probably for your higher level player. You're gonna dribble forward. And Gracie, I'm gonna see if you can roll it backwards. Come around the cone. Go forward. Roll it backwards. Go around the cone. Roll it backwards. All right? Ready? And go. Give it forward. Okay, now freeze. Yes, roll it backwards. Keep going, keep going, keep going. There you go. Now go forward. Roll it backwards. All right, and freeze. I'm not going to make you go through the whole thing. Come back, Gracie. Now, Gracie, I'm going to have you do it as fast as you can, and let's see how we're going to correct it. Let's take it back. Ready? And go. All right, thank you. Give her a hand. Now, when we look at this in parts, you may think the exercises are separate. But if you are training the warm-up and doing those toe touches and the outside of the foot little touches, when you come into this activity, it's really an adaptation of that one. She started to pick up on the same concept on the toe touches there and incorporate it here. And that's really what you want to do in a practice session. You want to progress it to a higher level. When I sent out the registration form for this clinic, a lot of you guys responded with, how do you design a practice plan? And that's something we hopefully can address over the course of the fall. But that's really the basis of a practice. How does your warm-up lead into your first activity? How does your first activity lead into your second activity? And so on and so forth. You really don't want too many things standing independent of each other. They should have a common thread from one activity to the next. Any questions on something like this? Yes. So
then, like, you're building a practice for dribbling, you're building a practice for passing, you're building...
Absolutely.
So then you can use the same practice for dribbling. Like if I design a dribbling practice, I can use that again and again. Maybe not day after day, but...
Yeah, you don't want... Yeah, yes. Yes, you can.
Because
You can use the same one, and in the beginning, you predominantly do want to use the same one. What ends up happening over the course of 2 weeks is you've done your toe touches, you've done your side to side. Now what's going to happen is you're going to make a big box. All right, Gracie, come here for a second. We're going to do a quick little demo, see if it works. Gracie, I just want you to dribble in this space in front of me, okay? No direction, and just anywhere in here. Just dribble like you're lost in the field somewhere. All right, go ahead. All right, so now, Gracie, I'm going to give you a command, and I want you to follow it, okay? Listen up to my voice, okay? Keep dribbling. Toe touches. Dribble. Roll it backwards. So you can see how this ends up building on itself. And what you end up having is about 10 kids in a big box, and everyone's listening to your different commands.
Okay, so then you're building, so as you're progressing the dribbling practice as you go through the season.
Yes, absolutely. I do the same activity, believe it or not, with young kids and old kids. And it's taken, we're in our second week, and usually it takes 2 weeks where I can say, all right, everybody get a ball, let's start dribbling. And I'll go through the different commands, and they've got it. But when I first started, it was in the warm-up,
So
it was broken down into isolated events. And then you can stack them on top of each other. We were here for 25 minutes, and Gracie pretty much got the ideas down. I could have kept going, but it's interesting what I did.
And even when it comes to certain drills in practice, it is totally acceptable and probably a great thing to do if you use the same drills repeatedly throughout your season. That way your players and you can see how they're changing from the beginning of the season until the end. You'll notice when you introduce a drill for the first time, it's going to look like a garbage, it's going to look like a mess. Balls are going to be flying all over the place. But as you take your time to coach it and you revisit it again and again, the players start to get better, you'll get better at coaching it, and you'll see the drill just turn into a productive activity for the kids over time. So it's a great thing to reinforce again and again.
I could have made things a lot easier if I brought my own players at the same age level. But it wouldn't have been a realistic picture. So by having kids that haven't seen what I've done, you can see that even from one warm-up to the next, how it's become part of her game now. If I were to bring my team, they would have gone through the warm-up, they would have come here and be like, oh, okay, there weren't many coaching points, there isn't much to do. But it's the repetition that gets them to do what Gracie just got to. With littler kids, maybe it takes 3 weeks.
So repetition is good.
Repetition's very good. Repetition's very good. One thing that you can always do is, my commands get pretty wild sometimes. If it's a clap, if it's a hey, it's a jumping jack. Kids, if it's a jumping jack, they gotta have their eyes up, right? So you can incorporate different types of little tricks to get them to get their head up, things like that while they're dribbling. Another thing that you can do is while they're in that box and you've gone through the different types of drills, just saying switch. They gotta switch a ball with somebody. So now they gotta get their head up, they gotta communicate with the teammate, switch the ball, and then dribble again. So everything does build upon itself, yes. Great question. Anything else? All right, let's come over here.